I'm here, y'all. I can hear you, Rob. What is your
Welcome into tonight's On Deck Circle. Tonight we're scheduled to visit live with UT legend and Philadelphia Eagles All-Pro Bill Bradley. Also, we'll talk to the ODC Sports Insider, Rob Big Daddy Lynch. We'll also get a Texas High School Athletics update from Sam Tipton, the Executive Director of the Texas Girls Association. And we'll chat with the lovely Marianne Nauman of Cotton Bowl Speedway as we hit the fast lane in local racing. Come join Leland Freeman and producer extraordinaire Patrick Davis, along with myself, Chuck Licata, right now in the On Deck Circle.
And so it's kind of a quasi take two. We won't go into why. I'm Chuck. He's Leland. That's Patrick. And joining us live, as we talked about before, our ODC Sports Insider, Mr. Rob Lynch. He's the ugly one of the three right there on screen. And, of course, UT and Philadelphia Eagles legend Bill Bradley. Gentlemen, good evening. Thanks so much for taking time to join us as we reboot and do it again.
Thanks for having me, man. I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, my goodness. Rob, we were talking before about the fact that this COVID thing has really limited your chance to appear with guys like Bill, Texas legends. Talk about what that's been like with the COVID thing and you're not being able to work with these guys, these legends.
Well, I think it's affected a lot of people. Finally, they're going to attempt to have the Texas Sports Hall of Fame golf tournament
Oh,
this
good.
coming weekend. But I don't know how well. I mean, it's going to be attended, but they've had real struggles getting guys to come out and not just the celebrities, but just golfers. The people still concerned about this, and I saw today the Dallas Cowboys had some guys test positive. The Houston Texans had some guys test positive, and I think all the local schools around here, the universities, once they brought guys back, they've all tested positive. So I don't know. It's going to be a difficult time coming up. We're getting toward the end of June, and football
Right.
season starts Labor Day weekend.
And football season, of course. I mean, Bill Bradley, UT. You, Patrick, can you give me that graphic real quick? UT, of course, then drafted by Philadelphia in '69. You've also played for the Vikings and the Cardinals as we see it there. You guys can't see it, but I've got Bill's rookie year draft football card on there. So he's got the hair, he's got the mustache, looking real slick there. Bill, football season, what's that mean to you now?
It just means that they better stay safe. You know, I don't know how they're going to work this thing out. I really don't. And I'm just, I'm just a fan right now, and so waiting to hear and see, and looking forward to it starting up.
Yeah.
Because I think everybody is having withdrawals right now.
And they had the added complication of the massive stadium renovation where they were building. It's still under construction. The new south end, new south end zone where they actually tore down the training and conditioning facility and the main locker room, and all the coaches have been moved to temporary offices all across the stadium. So they were already dealing with that before they even had COVID. So I bet recruiting's been a nightmare.
Oh gosh. Well, when I played there, our dressing room and everything was under the home team stands down underneath the stadium.
Well, that was a few years ago.
Yeah, it was the UT stadium looked like an Ivy League stadium. It was patterned after something up in the Ivy League, and it was a bowl, but the end zone wasn't going all the way around.
Hey, Bill, talk about your playing days at UT. What was that like? I mean, God, you held so many records that have since been broken, but you still have two. The longest punt in a bowl game, which is 74 yards for UT. And I'm sure UT fans will be glad to hear this. He picked off, and this is still a UT and college record, 4 passes he picked off in one game against Texas A&M in 1968.
Yeah, in '68 now, they didn't throw the ball either.
That's true.
And most of the time we were ahead, so so
Who's the quarterback, Billy?
Quarterback
See?
where?
When you intercepted the 4 passes.
Who was the
It
Aggie
Ed
quarterback?
Hargett. in the
Yeah.
political world. He's a representative, I think, out of Crockett, Texas area, or used to be. And what happened? There's a couple of stories. See, the backstory to that, Rob, is that the year before we were playing them, Texas A&M, with that same group on both sides, really. And whoever won that game, we were tied. So whoever won that game went to the Cotton Bowl. The year before, in 1967 season, I believe.
Right.
So in that game, I threw 4 interceptions that allowed them to go to the Bowl. So it's really
Payback.
not funny, but it is funny. It's the way it turned out. And so that was really 4 big-time nails in my coffin whenever we invented the wishbone, and I lasted. Oh, it was a heck of a deal, man. And James was a buddy of mine. We worked on ranches together, James Street, who ended up taking my spot and taking him to a national championship.
Right.
But James was a great guy, and we just really loved each other like brothers. And God bless him and his soul too. I can't take him out of my phone. I still find myself calling him.
Did you end up consoling Chris Sims after the 2001 Big 12 championship when he had his 4 interceptions?
No, I didn't know that.
Hey, speaking of James Street, seems that you and him and a couple guys back in the day, the Frank Sinatra story. You got to tell us the Elvis/Frank Sinatra story with James Street.
Oh gosh, have
That
you
is
got
so
enough
cool.
time for that? I'll
Do
try
it.
to make it as short
Do
as
it.
I possibly can. But Bobby Lane and Doak Walker, Harley Sewell, those kind of guys were our coaches in the Big 33 High School All-Star game coming out of high school. And so Bobby Lane got us all hooked up with all kinds of people all over, and in particular, Las Vegas. So we started knowing all the managers of all the hotels out there because Bobby was a regular out there. He loved to play dice, I understand. So he gets us, we've got a whole connection out there now. And, or did for the 60s and 70s. So we're at Vegas, and we're getting front row seats at Caesars to watch the Rat Pack. And Elvis was at that time. Elvis had just started playing at the big tall round building called the Hilton.
Okay.
And so we could never get James to go with us to the Caesars to see the Rat Pack, which they were the hottest thing out there. All those guys, they tap dance, Sinatra, all those guys, they all tap dance, did all that stuff. And Dean Martin and that whole group, the Rat Pack. And so James never wanted to go, so he ended up going to the Hilton. And James was an Elvis Presley freak. Just loved Elvis because he came through Longview in East Texas one time driving a pink Cadillac when James was in junior high. And James fell in love with him there and knew every word at school. At Texas, he knew every word, every Elvis song. I mean, every word. And in every Elvis movie, he knew every word in his movies. So there was a bunch of us, and we'd keep trying to get him to go see the Rat Pack. Well, James had made friends with Elvis right during that time.
Oh, my
so
goodness.
when we'd hit town in Las Vegas, we'd start seeing our shows at different places. James would go straight to the Hilton, and James became real close friends with Elvis. For some reason, Elvis loved him because James treated him like a teammate. He didn't treat him like the Memphis Mafia, give him everything, do this, do that for him. He loved James because James treated him like, and I'll tell you the story reason why Elvis really loved him. This story is great. It's a real quick one.
Okay.
One night we were playing Boo-Ray in Morehill Hall at UT, and the phone rings in James' room. There were about 6 of us playing the card game, and James picks up the phone, and we're going, "Oh man, wonder if that's Coach Roy." Well, who? And James says, "I know I'm talking to you," and hangs up. And we didn't know. So he hung up, and so we're going, "James, who the heck was that? Was that Coach Roy?" He said, "No, it was Elvis." And we're going, "Excuse me?" He said, "Yeah, Elvis." And so he calls right back. And Elvis had on the other end, you could hear by what James said, you can understand what he said. "Why'd you hang up on me?" And James says, "Well, I knew I was talking to you because Elvis had asked him you want me to talk to your friends so they'll know I'm talking to you? Well, James slammed the phone down, and as he said, slamming it down, he says, I know I'm talking to you, and hung up. And that's why Elvis loved you. So we go to Vegas. We're at Vegas. We're on the front row in a booth right by the stage, and we talked James into going to see the Rat Pack. And James wanted to be at Elvis. He'd go to Elvis's, go up to his suite, hang out with him, and we talked him into going. And he did. And the next thing we know, we're eating our roast beef, green peas, we're doing all that, and the show's about to start. The lights are coming on. They're getting up and they're singing, and Frank starts singing "My Way," a song written by Paul Anka that became a big time hit for him. And during that song, I mean, and it was one of Frank's favorite songs because he did it his way, right? All along the deal. And so James is over there, and James, I nicknamed him Rat because he can do things you never know he's doing them. He just does them so slick. We called him Slick Rat, and so he's over there, and he didn't finish his English peas, and so they're up there singing. Frank's singing "My Way," and he's getting the backgrounds with all those other guys, Sammy Davis, Dean Martin, and those kind of guys were with him. And James shoots, and we don't know it's James. He's so sneaky. So James shoots he had some food left, and he didn't eat his English peas. So he's got a spoon, and he's flipping a pea up toward Frank's face. And it whizzes right by his cheek while he's singing "My Way," and you see him kind of dodge. We didn't know James did it. And so he's rocking along, doing another verse, and he's getting to "My Way." James hits another, and it hits him right in the cheekbone.
Oh.
Yeah. And this is a big time deal now. And all of a sudden, and I'm not going to say all the words that Frank said. He said, "Stop this MFer. Stop this right now. Bring up the lights." And they bring up the lights, and we're all sitting at the table. We're looking around to see who did it. James is just sitting there smiling, like nothing ever happened. And he says, "My goons are going to find out who did that, and they're going to come out there and beat the holy heck out of it."
Oh,
Except
my
he used
God.
other words. And we got real quiet. We didn't know it. And afterwards, we found out James did that. We dogpiled him right there in the dang floor of Caesar's Palace, just jumping on him. And we got out of there, but nobody ever found out.
Oh, my goodness. That's
God, but Sinatra was serious.
Oh,
You could tell it in his voice. And my effing goons are going to come out there and beat the holy you-know-what out of you.
that is hilarious. Oh, my
Oh,
God.
if you'd have been there, you'd have been scared.
Yeah, but out of the Rat Pack, you would have taken Sammy Davis Jr., right? That's who you would have taken on.
Oh, if they started a fight, I was gonna jump all over Sammy Davis.
Oh, man. Hey,
Or Dean Martin, because he couldn't hardly stand up anyway.
well, that's true. He was what's a nice word to put it? He had a few drinks in him by then.
Yeah,
Sure.
he loved his libations.
There you go. Thank you. Now, Rob, you have a favorite Bill Bradley story, do you not?
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Don't-
Here we go.
Well, let me think a minute. We've kind of been around the world on a pogo stick together, so there's some of the things that
when Rob and I do a conversation where we call each other, we laugh so much we just laugh for about an hour and then hang up. I can't take it anymore.
I wonder what we're talking. If I had to pick one, Bill was coaching at Lamar University in Beaumont, and Lamar had just started to turn the program around, and we're winning some games they probably shouldn't have won.
And just come back from a 25-year layoff.
Yeah, they'd not even been active for years, and so I went over there to watch them play one night, and I forget who it was they beat, but it was a game they shouldn't have won. There's no way they should have won, but I think Bill's guys had a couple interceptions and turnovers, and so we walk outside the locker room, and there's people that are tailgating out there, and so he goes, "Come on, let's just go over. Let's just tailgate right here." And I thought, what? But before we went out, he grabs his little red hat that barely fit on his head. It was like a fedora, like Tom Landry would wear.
Oh.
And so he puts it on his head, and we walk outside. and there's people still partying because it's only like 6 o'clock. It was an afternoon game, and so we're out there, and so we start. We asked what they were drinking. They told us, and we said we'd like to try one. We never had one, and so we were out there. So about 1 o'clock rolls around, and if you've ever been in Beaumont, Texas, at 1 o'clock out by the university, there's not one. You can't even hear a cricket. There's not even a cricket out there. Well, when Lamar scores a touchdown, they have a cannon that they fire off. Well, for some reason, the cannon came driving through the parking lot, and Bill says, hold on, stop. Let me, is that the cannon y'all shoot when we make a touchdown? The guy goes, yeah, it is. He said, well, can you take it off that trailer? And the guy said, I don't know. And he goes, no, it's okay. I coach here. It's all right. It's all right. And the guy goes, well, I don't know. So he took it off the trailer. Now, I think I have a picture of this somewhere. And so Bill, with that knife, fires that cannon off. And let me tell you, it was so loud. There's a lot of refineries. There's a lot of refineries out there in that area. And I swear to you, everybody in that surrounding area thought one of those refineries had blown up at 1 o'clock in the morning.
Hit the ground.
And the police
came right up to it.
Police came blowing through the parking lot like they should have. And when they got there, Bill said, y'all want some water or something?
Oh, no. Oh, my God.
They ended up hanging out with us, I think. Drinking a bit. They were getting off duty.
They parked their car and visited with us.
Well, it was a blast.
Oh, God.
That was just one of them.
That was with Ray Woodard and all the great coaches we had down there.
I think Johnny was with us that night. Johnny Rowland might be with us that night.
Oh, yeah, Johnny was with us.
Yeah. And then the night that we were playing washers and the Bill had a dog. What was that dog's name?
Which one? Joe the Beagle?
Joe the Beagle. We were out the Holiday Inn parking lot playing washers, and I'm not sure that had ever been done before. And that ran a little late too. Well, Joe the Beagle, when we first got out there, was fine. Well, as the night went on, we couldn't find Joe the Beagle. So we better find this dog.
Start panicking.
So we'd go into the streets all over the parking lot, and Joe the Beagle was in the bar at the Holiday Inn.
Oh, my God.
He had made a bunch of friends in the bar at the Holiday Inn.
They were feeding him some sausage and cheese, crackers. He just lay it down.
Yeah, he'd found a new home.
One time we were staying in that deal, and I couldn't find Joe in the room. And he got on the elevator, went down to the first floor, was eating breakfast with somebody at a table. Sitting underneath the table. They're throwing bacon down. We lived there the whole season.
Wow. That's amazing. Hey,
all right, we've talked enough. Go ahead and get your stuff done.
No. I actually got a text from somebody in Houston who said, I'm enjoying these two guys. I'm like, just let them go, man. Just let them
come hang out with us.
Well, every time we do it, we end up laughing so darn hard. We're not doing anything bad. We're just having fun.
Nope, exactly. Hey, so, Bill, talk about your UT days, and is there a favorite game of yours, a favorite moment of yours?
Well, there's a lot of them. It just depends on the situation. But I was telling you about one of the great situations is that I threw those 4 interceptions and they won. So the next year we're playing, and this is a story that goes along with that, but it's the next year when I got those 4 interceptions. And we're talking about Ed Hargett earlier. Ed was their quarterback, and he had thrown the ball, I think then, sometime between 125 and 150 passes without an interception.
Wow.
And of course, we were tied at that time, too, again, to see who went to the Cotton Bowl. They were our big rivalry back then. And so right before the game, Gene Stallings was their head coach. And I found out this story just a couple of years ago from a guy in Crockett where where he's a senator or a representative of that county.
Okay.
And so Gene Stallings goes to him before the game and he says, Ed, he says, now Bradley's just over there at halfback, which we called halfback. It was a cornerback back then.
Okay.
This would be 1968. He said, he's just over there, been there about 2 or 3 games. And he says, I want you to pick on him all day. And so he started doing that. And after the 4th interception, Ed told me this story. He said, I sashayed over, and y'all were beating us, and the game was about over with a little bit left in a quarter. He says, hey, coach, he says, do you think we ought to keep picking on me? He said, this was after the 3rd interception. He says, you think we ought to keep picking on that Bradley over there because he's new at that position? I get another one, and Ed loves to tell that story, boy. What a great guy. And I went on and went to the Philadelphia Eagles, and we drafted a linebacker. They drafted a linebacker the same year I got in from Texas A&M. His name was Billy Hobbs, really a great linebacker there. And we lived together for 5 years. We used to leg wrestle each other for a beer, and he kicked my rear end every night with leg wrestling.
Oh,
And we'd always have all kinds of bets going when Texas played Texas A&M back then.
Hey,
But we
hey,
were like brothers.
Billy, tell them when you lived at Veterans Stadium and went out on the grounds crew during the Phillies game.
Well, I lived in the bottom of Vet Stadium when they first had it because they didn't pay us a lot of money back then. You know that, Rob. I think I was making $17.5 or something like that for a year. Heck, I think they make that a snack now. You know,
Yep.
or at least the quarter or the
Some guys
snack.
make more.
Yeah.
Right.
So I'm living at the Vet, and I'm going to every function because we shared a dressing, showers, and urinals and all that kind of stuff with the Phillies. Now they had their separate dressing room and equipment area and all that, but it was a giant shower and clean up area after games. And of course, the seasons never overlapped. But I stayed there in the off season, and I'd get my workouts in and all that kind of stuff. So, which one were we telling, Rob? Now there's 2 or 3.
Oh, when you got down on the grounds crew.
Oh, so I go to every game, and then they started this new deal called the Hot Pants Girls, and that was the usheress that had a section every day.
Yeah.
Well, I was single and living in Center City, and I was going to everything. I'd go to batting practice. I'd do everything, and there's another stories with all that. But this particular time, I got to know the owner of the Phillies. And I went up to his box and sat 2 games. I sat everywhere in that stadium with my girlfriends that I'd take dancing, about 6 or 8 of them. And they always had an aisle. I'd sit, wherever. I had run of the stadium because I did batting practice with them. I played infield with them at practice. Because I was drafted out of high school in the 5th round by the Detroit Tigers, AA ball in Montgomery, Alabama. So my dad was a baseball coach. I was a baseball nut. And so anyway, we're doing that, and I can't remember that owner's name. My gosh, it's slipping my memory right now. But anyway, I got to be good friends with him, and I go sit up in his box with him some. He says, so I go up there one day, and I'd done just about everything I could living in the basement of the Vet. And I said, hey, do you mind if I rake the bases? And he said, excuse me? I said, yeah, I've never been able to rake the bases, and I think that would just be a great thing. Well, at that time, during the 7th inning stretch, the grounds crew put on white, clean cut, new tennis shoes, overalls, and got rakes, and they had that big piece on their pocket and it was overalls.
Mm-hmm.
He said, yeah. He called down there and said, Bradley's coming down there. Y'all get him a pair of overalls, a rake, and he's going to go in there. So we get behind the home plate. They open up the door, and they're singing, the 7th inning stretch song, Take Me Out to the Ball. And we go out in a line, and we do home base and rake that. Then we get in the same line, jump back in line. We march down to first, do the same thing second, do the same thing third, come back in. And that's one thing I always wanted to do in my life was be a member of the grounds crew in Philly at Vet Stadium and rake the bases. And I got to do it, man. That was just fantastic. And nobody knew that I was even doing it in the city. And so they put a giant picture of it in the Philadelphia Daily News and the Enquirer, and it went viral.
And that was an artificial turf multipurpose stadium, so it was just slide boxes. There wasn't dirt.
Yeah, it was just those little squares and diamonds, you know.
That is so
And
cool.
I never got that with baseball.
it was a dual field.
Yeah.
All right, gentlemen. Well, this has been entertaining. We definitely got to do this again soon. This is absolutely amazing. Rob, Lynch, of course, our ODC Sports Insider. Bill Bradley, we've seen him out on events before. Guys, thanks for the time. It was very
Hey,
entertaining.
thanks for having me.
And
Give me
we'll
a
do it
shout,
again.
Rob. Let's talk
Hey,
and laugh.
hey, Billy, look at this hat. You see
I
this
know it.
hat?
I was going to say something about it, but I got talking. That's a
Yeah.
roughneck, man.
Yep. Undefeated.
5-0. Only
Yep.
2 teams in pro football was undefeated: the 72 Dolphins and the 2020 Houston Roughnecks.
That's
There you
right.
go.
5-0.
All right, Rob Lynch, Bill Bradley, thanks, guys. We'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you much.
All right,
Appreciate it.
There you go. I have a feeling we could have let them just do the whole hour.
Pretty much. And I was also a Houston Roughnecks fan myself.
Yep. Of course, he's coached, oh my God, how many teams? He was with the San Antonio team that was in that, what was it, AAF
Alliance
league?
of American Football.
Yeah. Yeah, for what, 6 games, 7 games? Did that
No,
last?
no, it
Not even that long?
I think it was 6.
Was it?
that's a whole different story about how that league folded versus the XFL. And hopefully the XFL comes back next year.
There's going to be another league. Just don't know which one yet.
It's probably going to be a resurrection of the XFL. And interesting little fact going on with the XFL, the lawsuit that Oliver Luck has filed against Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon's counsel is actually trying to push it from a direct liability of Vince himself to Alpha Entertainment, the holding company that owned the XFL, which would shield Vince from direct liability of the $23 million contract.
Okay.
Hopefully,
I'm sorry. I'm trying to do 2 things here at once. Okay, so you got information on the NBA, right?
you know, it's the kind of thing to try to not, because then I'll be falling into the same boat of the players. A lot of the players, they're not wanting to play because they want to make a political statement. With regards to what's going on with what's happening in the country with the protests against police, and my take is, I think we just need to get back
Still
to
way
not,
low.
as a country, hating everything, and being a player gives you a platform where you can actually say what your opinion is on the situation, and not playing. You're stripping yourself of a platform. If you look at the NFL, they seem to be that, in the NHL, they seem to have their head on straight the most of any of these leagues, getting back to a schedule and playing. And the fact is that you don't see the NFL players or the owners squabbling over how many games, when it's going to be played, compensation. And as a fan, if the players want to say something that I don't agree with, I'll just choose not to watch that particular game. But at least give us that option as fans, and just get us back to some semblance of normalcy.
Give me some football.
And
so
I mean,
watch Breeze and
like
Brady.
with baseball. I mean, Chuck, tell us what the hell is going on with baseball?
Oh my God! So last week during the Major League Baseball draft, the amateur draft, MLB Network and ESPN televised it. Of course, I'm going to watch MLB Network because their announcers are so much better. They're so much more in tune with what's going on. Sorry, ESPN. You guys are good, but MLB is better. Anyway, so Jeff Passan holds a interview with Commissioner Rob Manfred, okay? And Rob says unequivocally there will be a 2020 Major League Baseball season, because back then, back in March, they had agreed to this 72 game schedule, something like that.
Something
Whatever
to
it
allow
was.
Something to allow a season.
Yeah,
If they don't
yeah.
come to some sort of
If they don't come
agreement,
to some-
if the
Right.
owners and the players union don't come to some sort of expanded season with better compensation.
Okay,
for the
so
players.
there's going to be a season. Okay, so all of us who play fantasy baseball, it's going to be a throwaway season, but we're still going to have a season, right? But Patrick and I got here at 4:30 at Mike's studio. 4:45, here comes the report. Rob Manfred not so sure about 2020 season. And we're like, wait a minute. There was a guarantee. What did we miss?
Yeah, the agreement in March.
Here's the quote from Rob Manfred. And he did report on ESPN, so we'll give ESPN their due. Unfortunately, over the weekend, while Tony Clark, who's head of the Players Union, was declaring a desire to get back to work, the Players Union top lawyer was out telling reporters, players, and eventually getting back to owners that as soon as we issued a schedule, as they requested, if you remember, players said to MLB, we want a schedule by close of business Monday, which is today. As soon as the owners, or as soon as we were issued a schedule, the players intended to file a grievance claiming they were entitled to an additional $1 billion. There you go.
Can I have some of that?
Yeah, exactly.
There's your season. There's your season.
So they don't want to play because they're not getting another.
It's a money thing. And you know what? I talked to two people on the drive over here. It takes about 45 minutes to get here. And I asked, these are people who are very casual sports fans. They're not diehards like us. They, don't read, sports 25 times a day. Their take on this, I asked them, I said, what do you think about this Major League? What have you heard? Both of them said, it sounds like the players are greedy.
So what happens to the contracts? All those players that had backloaded deals this year that this was supposed to be their big contract year. Likewise, what's going to happen to everyone suspended with the cheating scandal with the Astros? And, oh, by the way, it's reports that other teams, such as the Yankees,
yes, the Yankees are now under investigation for stealing signs.
So what happens to A.J. Hitch?
Oh, we'll find out. To be TBD, to be determined.
So basically, the NFL and
NHL. Yep. Those are the two that right now are on track to play at the moment.
The two leagues
that could change within the week.
The two leagues where they're basically they take out their aggression on the field or the ice. I mean, go figure. The NHL,
right? Well, you talk about a contact sport. That's it, right there.
They have players called the Goons, and the worst thing that happens is 2 minutes in the penalty box.
Hey, as opposed to the Frank Sinatra Goons from Bill Bradley's story back in the day. Yes, Frank Sinatra was involved with mafia figures back in the day.
Really?
Sam Giancana of the outfit. I mean, Meyer Lansky, the whole deal.
Bugsy Siegel.
Yep, yeah. Bugsy Siegel. Yeah, well, Bugsy was dead by then.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, Bugsy was killed in 47, I think.
Yeah, in Beverly Hills.
Yep.
Mob hit.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Hey, so we're going to, Patrick, I'm going to throw you a little curveball. Let's go to the, don't throw it up just yet, but we're going to go to the Crank It Up video, and then we're going to go to the Marianne Nauman interview, and then we'll take Sam Tipton at 2:30, or at 8:30, 2:30, 8:30. Okay.
In some time zone, it would be 2:30.
Yeah, in some time zone. Somewhere it's 5 o'clock, but
Hey,
anyway.
somebody has to be throwing curveballs because the MLB players certainly aren't.
Okay, so locally, there is sports going on out of Cotton Bowl Speedway in Page, Texas, about an hour drive from Austin. Okay, and so if you watch NASCAR on Fox, they'll have that segment where they turn off the microphones and turn up the crowd mics, if you will, and you get to hear what they call Crank It Up. You get to hear the sounds of the engine. Well, I was out at Cotton Bowl Speedway on Saturday, so here's a quick 12-second snippet of Crank It Up of the race cars out at Cotton Bowl Speedway.
Bad down on the bottom. Look at that.
What fans got to see out there. So we got a chance to talk to the promoter, track owner, Marianne Nauman, and here's a quick interview with her to have her explain what is going on and how they're dealing with COVID at Cotton Bowl Speedway. And we welcome in Miss Marianne Nauman. Oh my God, I don't know if it was me, but I know we started calling you the first lady of racing in Texas back at Thunder Hill Raceway, back when some of us had hair, But lovely as ever. And oh my God, it's so great to be back involved with racing. Great to see you and everybody involved. First and foremost, talk about obviously racing here at Cotton Bowl Speedway and how it's to be back, how good it's to be back.
Thank you, Chuck. And yes, you were the first one to say the First Lady of Racing. It is great to be back. It's a different world. It's from asphalt to dirt, and so it took a little bit of adjusting. And as far as the operations of the racetrack, it's pretty much the same. But when you talk about the preparation of the racetrack, that's quite different. Of course, with asphalt, you show up on Friday, you blow the track, and that's when you start working on it. As soon as this race is over, they start working on it to get ready for the next race. So with that being said, it's a lot of extra work as far as that's concerned. But as far as the operations of the racetrack, it's the same. And it's really great because a lot of the racers that raced at Thunder Hill Raceway have converted over to the dirt track. So it's kind of cool. Probably a third of the race car drivers came from the asphalt. And that's really great to see that support.
For those folks who are tuning in that may not know your long history of racing, I mean, oh my God, this is, when you listen to NASCAR radio on XM and you talk racing, if you're involved in racing, you know that if there's one person been involved as long as you have, there's many tributaries, there's many paths that you've crossed, there's many owners that you've talked to, promoters, the whole deal. Let folks understand, at least give them an idea, your rich racing history.
Well, I would say about the age of 8, my dad started racing, so that's kind of how I got interested in it. And it was just a passion that I grew to love from that moment forward. I loved watching my dad race. My uncle raced. Then my brother raced, and my son raced. My stepson races. It's just a true family sport. I think once you get racing in your blood, it's kind of hard to get out. And I've, tried other things, especially in between the transition between Thunder Hill and Cotton Bowl. And so when the opportunity came to try to keep this track going, and the drivers that were racing confronted me and asked me if I would please do this, I said, oh my goodness. And I have to admit, I did miss it. I missed it a lot. It was right at 3 years. So, I've been around a long time. I've known a lot of promoters. I've been around a lot of people. I always admired Pan American Speedway when my dad raced there. I kind of think the Weirs were definitely ahead of their time, and I was always so impressed, and that's probably where I got the desire to promote. And then, of course, my dad promoted the Longhorn Speedway, and we all together in 1981 operated that racetrack. And so that's where I got the interest. And then I started racing for a while with the guys, and that was kind of fun, and drove the street stock. So what I love about being a promoter is I see both sides of the field, being a race car driver and being a promoter and the operations of it. So I think I kind of have a little bit of it all. Not that I'm perfect in all of it by any means, but being a female promoter these days is not quite as prestigious as it used to be. It's pretty common, but I love the racers, and I love the staff. I have an amazing team that makes all this come together for me. So a lot of volunteers. So.
Well, you undersell yourself, but I'll get into that when I introduce this piece on the show itself. But talk about when COVID hit and shutting down the track and what that did for Cotton Bowl Speedway.
Well, it happened. It's such a terrible situation for everyone involved, all businesses. But it nearly kept us from reopening, and then we went to the county officials who were very supportive, and then we moved into a stricter ban where the counties wanted us to get more approval, which was from the governor's office. So we started working with them. It was very time-consuming. A lot of rules, a lot of regulations, and a lot of things that are important. And they told us what they wanted us to do, and we wanted to make certain that we did those things, and we wanted to be able to walk the talk. And of course, we want everyone to be safe. We do feel that the sport is something that the folks need to they need to get back into some kind of normal part of life. And, we've all learned there's different ways to do things that we, like wash our hands and do those kind of things that should have already been being done. But, I